Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you my July wrap-up. So in the month of July, I managed to complete a total of 14 books. I'm pretty happy with that. It's a lot better than how I ended up going in June, and I've definitely been kind of on the upswing in my reading. I would have probably got more than that read, except I was trying to get through an absolute monster of a book, which I didn't finish this month, so that I will touch on in my August mid-month wrap-up. But I did manage to read a total of 14 books, as I said. I did talk about the first 6 books that I read in my July mid-month wrap-up, so I will be talking about the final 8 books that I managed to complete in this video. But first off, as always, let's touch on some of the statistics from my reading month. As I said, I managed to read 14 books. That was made up of 11 novels and 3 children's books. Of those, I read 12 physical books, 3 audiobooks, and 1 ebook. Of the books, not including audiobooks, I read 3 that I owned and 8 from the library, so once again totally failing on that goal. I read a total of 4,628 pages, which averaged out to 149 pages a day, which I am pretty happy with. The longest book that I read was 550 pages, and the shortest book I read was 119. 2 of the children's books that I read were both 119 pages this month. The highest star rating I actually gave 2 different books 4.25 stars, and the lowest star rating I gave this month was actually a 3-star. I gave 4 different books 3 stars, and I think this is the first month this year that I haven't given something below a 3-star, so that was really good, and my average star rating for the month averaged out to 3.71 stars, which is not too bad. So those were the statistics. Now let's jump into the books that I read. The first book I want to talk about is Hard 8 by Janet Evanovich. This is the 8th book in the Stephanie Plum series. As I've said many a time, this is just a light-hearted chick lit kind of series that follows a character named Stephanie Plum, who is a bounty hunter who gets up to all kinds of hijinks. This was an enjoyable installment in the series. I do get like a little bit frustrated with the kind of romance aspects of the series. Obviously, it is very drawn out because I'm on book 8 and there are like 23, 24, something at least books out in this series so far, and I think it's still ongoing, so I don't know where the romance is heading, but I can get a little bit frustrating. But it was an enjoyable installment in the series, and in the end I gave it 3.5 stars. The next book I completed was one of the children's books, and that was The Case of Crazy Claude by Emily Rodda. This is the 16th book in the Teen Power Inc. / Raven Hills mystery series. This one was a lot of fun. It's another one that I remembered really clearly from my childhood, so that was really nice. And this one was actually, like, yeah, as I said, a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it, so I gave this one 4 stars. And the next book that I completed was The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. And I've just realized that I actually made a mistake in my statistics, and that the highest star rating I gave this month was actually a 5-star. I gave 5 stars to this book, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I really, really loved this book. I just really enjoyed the story, and I found it really, really relatable, and I felt like this story really showed the importance of friendship, and that to me, like in books, is something that I love so, so much. So this book just really spoke to me. I absolutely loved it, and as I said, I gave this one 5 stars. The next book I want to talk about is I Was Here by Gail Forman. This is a standalone contemporary story that follows a girl whose best friend commits suicide, and she's quite shocked by this because she didn't realize that her friend was suicidal at all. And so her best friend's parents ask her to travel to her best friend's dorm room to pack up her things, and she meets a guy there, and she just kind of starts to try and unravel the story of what happened to her friend. This was okay. I had some problems with it. I did enjoy it. I didn't like some of the characters, and I didn't kind of like the way, this is one of those stories that to me is all like really like tied up really nicely in a bow at the end, and I just find that really unrealistic, especially in a story like this. But it was enjoyable. In the end, I gave this one 3 stars. The next book I completed was Compulsion by Martina Boone. This is the first book in the Heirs of Watson Island trilogy. I enjoyed this quite a lot. This is a story that follows a girl whose mother has recently died, and when her mother dies, she kind of finds out about this like whole family of her mother's that she didn't really know existed, and she goes to live on like kind of a southern plantation that her mother grew up on with her mother's sister. And it has like a real like gothic kind of feel to it. I really loved the vibe of the story. I do think it could have been maybe a little bit better fleshed out, but it was like really enjoyable. In the end, I gave it 3.75 stars, and I will definitely be continuing with the trilogy. The next book I completed was Fear in Fashion by Emily Rodda. This is the 17th book in the Teen Power Inc. series. This one, again, is enjoyable. All the books in this series were enjoyable, but I didn't enjoy the mystery like in this one as much as I have in previous books in the series. But as I said, it was still really enjoyable. I gave this one 3.25 stars. The next book I completed was The Diviner's Tale by Bradford Morrow. This is a book that I actually listened to on audiobook. And this one, I actually will kind of struggle to tell you what this one was about, because that's one of the problems that I had with the story, was that I listened to like half of the book and I was like, well, what is this even about? It was supposed to be following a woman who kind of has predictions about the future and such, and she is a diviner, a water diviner, and she's out divining for water one day when she sees a girl hanging from a tree, and when she can't get reception on her phone or something, and when she doesn't have a phone, I can't remember, but when she goes to get the police and they come back to the spot, the girl is no longer there. That's kind of the jumping off point, but as I said, we didn't follow that much of that story in my opinion, so it was the writing was great, but the storyline to me was very unclear and underdeveloped in some ways, and there were also some really important topics in the book that to me were just completely glossed over, and I don't like that at all. If you're going to raise issues like sexual assault or rape or things like that, you can't just gloss over it and just like stick it in. You need to like talk about it a little bit more in depth. You can't just stick it in there as a plot point and then not do anything about it. So I had a little bit of a problem with that. So it's one of those stories that kind of all the elements are kind of there, but they just didn't really match up to make anything super great. Like, it was a little bit boring, to be honest with you, but it was all right. I gave it 3 stars in the end. And the final book I completed this month is another book that I listened to on audio, and that was The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a YA contemporary story that follows a girl who grew up in foster homes, and then there was this kind of event that happened in her life, and she has since been adopted like as a young teenager and has been living for the last 4 years with adopted parents who really care about her, and she has been homeschooled, but she is going to do her senior year at a public high school. When she goes to the public high school, she runs into a boy who she grew up with in one of the foster homes, who was kind of her protector, and the story kind of like jumps off from there. I wasn't sure going into this what I would think of it, because contemporary and I don't always get along, but to me this story was a lot deeper than just your typical contemporary. I really liked the characters, and I really, really enjoyed the romance, and as I said, this book just felt like it had a much deeper message and themes to it than your usual contemporary. So I really, really actually did enjoy it. I will say that this book definitely has trigger warnings for anxiety. The main character in this she doesn't talk a lot. She has problems with speaking like to people. She is somewhat mute. Like, she talks, but not with strangers and things like that, because she has quite a lot of anxiety issues due to her past. So if that is something that you have a problem with, like, maybe look into this one a little bit further, but it is definitely a worthwhile story. I really, really enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. So those were the books that I read in the month of July. If you have read any of these books and have any thoughts, I would love to chat to you guys in the comments about it. I'm pretty happy with my July reading month. It definitely picked up from June, and I'm definitely like at this beginning part of August, like kind of on an upward swing, so that's really great. As I said, I would love to chat to you guys in the comments down below about any thoughts that you have. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more, but that's all I've got for this video today. Bye guys!